If anyone's interested in building a property portfolio, quite often they focus on the mechanics and the doing and the asset selection and the finance and all those sorts of critical things. But we really need to have a think about the psychological side of it also, because quite often there's not a lot of people who are successfully building a portfolio. So today I want to think about the 3 critical forces that shape a property investor's character. And the first one for me is, what do you let inside of your mind? Because we've got a few choices to make, haven't we? But for me, your thoughts affect your feelings affect your actions, and then your actions affect your results. So if we want to get better results, we've got to go all the way back to what we're thinking. And that really starts with what you're putting into your mind. So are you someone who reads a lot of books, or are you someone who just watches a lot of sort of mindless TV? Are you someone who listens to a lot of podcasts, or do you get most of your information from the news cycle? What about going to seminars and conferences, or do you engage in gossip with people, talking about people who are going to seminars? It's really important that you guard what's going into your mind, because if it does have a profound impact on our results, we really do need to make sure that we're protecting what we think about and we're protecting what we feed into our mind so that we can focus on some positive things. The second force that shapes our character is the relationships. And if you think about, you are the average of the 5 people that you spend most of your time with. So if you want to be a successful property investor, have a think about that. Are you with people who tell you that it can't be done, or are you with people who tell you that it can be done? Because if you go back to Alcoholics Anonymous, for example, they've got a mantra that if you don't want to slip, don't go to slippery spots, which essentially means if you're fighting an addiction, don't go to where you're going to fuel that addiction. Don't end up at the pub, or don't go somewhere where you're going to get a drink easily. And that's the same for property investors. Don't go to slippery spots. If you're going to hang out with people who give you feedback that it just can't be done, or property investing is a scary thing, quite often that will derail you, and that will affect the character that you're trying to build in terms of building this portfolio. So first one is be careful of what you let in your mind. The second one is the relationships you form. And the third one is all about the habits that you form. Because motivation is what gets you started, but habit is what keeps you going. So Jim Rohn, who's a favourite of mine, talks about you will suffer one of 2 things: the pain of discipline or the pain of regret and disappointment. And that really comes from the habits that you're forming, because it's not easy to get up and exercise in the morning. It's not easy to make the right food choices. It's not easy to put your neck out and say that I'm going to be a property investor and do everything that I need to do that. But it requires some discipline. And if you don't do that, you will have some form of regret down the track. So my message is really simple today. It's really important to guard your heart and guard what goes on in your mind, and to shape the character of who you become whilst you're building this portfolio, because it's not just about the money. It's about overcoming some conditioning. It's about building a portfolio that will hopefully create some legacy, not only for your children, but for your grandchildren as well. So my message is really, really simple today. You need to build a moat around you, like a castle that has a moat to protect against, or to create that last line of defense. You need to create a moat around yourself to protect your character when you're building your property portfolio.